Hi, this is Vincent Borbely for CSD 386's first assignment, in which we're doing serialization. So for cat and dog, dog is data aligned, cat is also data aligned, and the serialization of it is just kind of copying the contents to a buffer, and then when deserializing, you would copy from the buffer back into the new object. That's more or less what they both look like, so I'll only show it off for cat here. But bird is a little different in that it has an array of characters. So when serializing, you would do basically everything else. Get the length of the string, copy that to the buffer, and then copy the actual contents of the string to the buffer. And when deserializing, you would do quote unquote the inverse of that. So you would copy from the buffer to, well, first get the length, make a new string of that length, and then copy the contents back into that new string. When talking about fish, fish now has pointers to two different structs, which are, as you can see, both byte aligned or data aligned, as well as fish itself. When serializing, you would copy all the other variables and then proceed to copy the contents of apple and orange to the buffer. And just like with bird, you would do about the same thing. Make a new item and copy the contents of the struct into that item, as well as for orange. Finally, for snake, I'm just going to start by saying I did what was asked of me, and I changed the test here. Snake, mostly just egg had to be data aligned, not much else to do here. But snake is a linked list, so first we have to start with serializing Medusa, which is to say copying its contents and then proceeding to serialize down the line starting at the snake's, the head snake that it has. So this would call on the head snake to be serialized at the correct point in the buffer. And from this point, I do kind of a recursive approach for serializing the rest of the snakes in the stack, I guess you'd call it. So what I've opted to do here is I leave a single character in each snake's sort of block of memory to indicate that there is another snake up ahead. I put that in the buffer first, serialize the snake's contents, serialize the egg's contents, and then I check to see if it has another snake to serialize next, and I do if it does. So when deserializing, I first start with Medusa, of course, find out if there's a snake as its head, because I didn't really want to assume that it would have one. And if it does, I make a new snake and I deserialize to get the proper contents of that snake, and I set the head appropriately as well. Finally, when deserializing the snake, of course I do the snake itself, do the egg, and then I determine if there's a snake up ahead using that single character I left for myself previously. Then I continue to make new snakes and deserialize as necessary, and otherwise, if it's the end, the next is null pointer. So, as you'll see here, every test passes, and so does memory tracking. So, I'd say it's a successful assignment.